All right. Hello, students. We are going to make a trebuchet. It's a type of catapult that uses a lever, which is a plank or a board on a pivot point. So it kind of looks like this. If you guys can see it, our final product's going to look something like this. We've got a weight. All right, it causes it to fire. So for this, you're going to need the following materials. You're going to need a total of 21 popsicle sticks. Two are going to have, they're going to be regular with holes in them. You're going to have another one with a hole in it, but it's going to be smaller. It's about 2/3 the size, about 2/3. You're going to need a glue gun, all right, which we have here. You're going to need a firing cup right here, or basket. You're going to need weight here, and you're going to need some string also. So I'll have some string, some fishing line as well, which I have right here. We're going to have some fishing line as well. All right, so we want to go ahead and get started. The very first, so the frame. All right, the frame we're going to need, in total, we're going to need 7 pieces, or 7 popsicle sticks. For this, we're going to start off, we're going to make a T first. So we want this to be right in the center. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. We want it to be right in the center. So you should have a ruler as well. So I'm going to make sure we're going to measure this out. Now, usually in science class, or excuse me, in STEM class, we want to make sure that we are using the metric system. And so these are just about, if we take a look at these should be just about 11 centimeters long. So we want to make sure we get it right in the center. So these are about 11 centimeters. So when we look at this, we want to be right in the center, and half of 11 would be 5.5. So we want to make sure that we use that. So we're going to have 5.5, or 5.5. So we want that to be right there. So we want that to be right in the center. So we're going to go ahead. Hopefully this is nice and heated up. Now you want to make sure that your glue gun's nice and heated up. We're going to put a nice little dab right in the center. There we get nice on there. Be very careful because it is very hot. So make sure we get it right in the center. So get it right there in the center. I'm going to hold it there as well. Make sure it gets right there. And you want to be careful so you don't get the hot glue, because especially don't touch the tip of the glue gun. It's very, very hot. All right, so once we have the T, we'll let it sit there for a second. We want to make sure we don't get it on the paper. As well, we want to make sure that we're doing this on a paper so we don't get this on the, we don't want to get it on the table. So then we're going to take 2 more popsicle sticks. We're going to put them on either side here like this. So we want to make sure that we put some glue there first. So we'll go ahead and get some glue, put it on here as well. Got a nice glob of glue there. Not too much, but we want to make sure that we get that on there. Again, you want to be very careful because this glue is very hot. So make sure we are careful of the glue gun being away from our hands as we put this down, as I just got pretty close to that with my pinky, and that didn't feel so good. Go through here, get that hot glue gun out of the way, place that down. All right, so now we have that down on here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place another one right up on top here. We're going to place another one right up on top. So we want to make sure it goes right in the middle. So once again, we're going to take our ruler. We'll make sure we get it right in the center. We don't want to have any errors with that. So the middle of this is 5.5. So we'll do that. We'll get it right in the center because that's where we want this to be, right in the center. We're going to line that up. We'll go ahead and put some hot glue down again. Get that nice on there. Get plenty of glue to make sure it sticks. We'll move our glue gun out of the way so we don't be anywhere close to our hands when we're doing this. All right, so go ahead and place that right down onto there. All right, so now we got a nice little platform for this to hang on. If you have any little string things, we're gonna kind of maybe pull those off of there. All right, so there we're good to stand up, but we need some extra stability on there. So we are going to take 2 more. And we're going to make some right triangles with this. We're going to make some right triangles. We want them to be right up here. So I'm going to make some, want to make some marks right where I want this to be. So I'm going to put this, kind of make a mark here and a mark here. And so I'm going to put my glue just underneath those marks so I know exactly where they need to go. So I'm going to put some more glue there, and put some more glue here, and I'm going to place my glue gun out of the way. I want to make sure it goes right down on there. And there we go. So we got that right down there. I'm going to let that dry for just a little bit. And we're going to take our other one, just like this, and we're going to place it around on the other side. So we're going to take that, let's spin this around just a little bit like this. And remember, that stuff is sticky. So then we're going to place it back on the other side like this. So again, I'm just going to make some marks right here. Make some marks. Do that. And we'll go ahead and put that on here, just like we did before. All right, so. And my glue gun's really hot, so we want to make sure that that stays away from our hands, that we're aware of where it is. If somebody helping us out, they can maybe do the glue while we push them down. All right, so we've got our base here. All right, we're going to let that dry for a little bit, and we want to have one just like this. So we're going to repeat this so we have 2 of these. So we're going to go through the same process, do the same exact thing so that we have 2 of them. All right, so as I mentioned and did this, I wasn't recording, so you should have 2 of them. They should be the same size. So these are going to be sort of sort of sides to the trebuchet. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to build the firing arm. So that'll be our next steps. We're going to kind of take these and place them off to the side. We're going to build our firing arm. Okay, so once we've built the sides, and we have 2 of these sides, the next we're going to do is build the firing arm. So for the firing arm, we're going to need 3 regular popsicle sticks, and we're also going to need the 1 popsicle stick that has a hole in it, but it's not a full popsicle stick, so we're going to be using that one. We're also going to need a toothpick, which I didn't mention in the very beginning with materials, but this is going to represent our fulcrum. This is the pivot point that is going to go around. Now that our lever is going to go around. So if we take a look at this, first of all, what we want to do is we want to find the middle of the popsicle stick again. So we've got our ruler once again, and they are roughly about 11 centimeters, right about there. So we want to find the middle point, which would be about 5.5 right there. So now that we have that, we want to have enough room for the toothpick right there. So when we take a look at this, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're going to take this, we're going to put that here, and then we're going to put the other one right over here. So it's really important that we leave some space for the toothpick. We want to leave some space for the toothpick so it can go through there. So we're going to have it set up right over here. We don't want it to be too close. So we're going to take our hot glue once again. We're going to get a nice amount of hot glue right on there. So we get a nice amount of hot glue. Again, be careful with the hot glue. We don't want to injure ourselves with that. That's definitely something we don't want to happen. All right, so we've got that. All right, so we want to take our other one. We want the hole to be outside of this right here. We're going to make sure that we have that. We're going to have enough space for that hole to be outside of there. So we've got some room right here. So let's make sure that we have enough room there. So let's take this, put some hot glue on there again, right there, just enough. We don't want any hot glue to be in the area where the toothpick's going to go. We don't want the toothpick to be affixed to it. So we're take that. Again, be careful of the hot glue. It is really hot. All right, so next, after we have that, then what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue here so that we can kind of seal this up. So once again, we want to make sure that we know exactly where the middle is. So we'll take our ruler. We're going to find our center again. So it's 11 centimeters. We're going to go 5.5 or 5.5. So there we go, make that mark with our pencil. And we want this to go right in the center here, to really line up with this so we don't have any issues. We want that to be right in the middle. So we want there to be balance and symmetry. That's really important. We also don't want any glue in the center piece where the toothpick's going to go. So we got to be careful about that. We don't want any glue in there. So we put some hot glue in there, and then we're going to lay it down very carefully, making sure that we can line that up. Be careful not to get your hands in there. All right, so there we go. Looks like we pressed that down, that nice and on there. And so now we have this part right here. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our counterweight on, which in this case is just going to be, in this case I have a heavy lock nut right here, but it can be anything that's really heavy. We could use pennies, we could use, you could use like lead fishing weights, you could use known masses like you would have in like a science class. We're going to take some of this string as well, or some of this fishing line, fishing filament as it might be called. We're going to take just, we're going to take probably about, I don't know, we don't need that much, but we could take probably about, I don't know, 20 centimeters or so. We're going to cut off any excess. So we're going to go ahead and cut that off. All right, so we've got that. And so the next thing we're going to do, let me move this out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to thread it through, and we're going to thread it through the hole right here. So we want that to thread through right through the hole. So we got that, and we want that to swing around like this. So we're going to kind of get it underneath. We want a little bit of swing on there, but not too much. So we're going to tie that up like over, under, cross, under, pull. Remember how to make. So we want to do that a few times just to really make sure that we've got that on there. We can do that like 4 or 5 times just to really make sure that the filament stays. We want it to stay. All right, it's really important. We want that to stay on there. We don't want that to come off. We don't want it to fly off. So the more knots we put in there, the more secure it's going to be. So if you want to put more knots in there, that's fine. All right, so go ahead and put that on there. 4 knots. All right, I think that should be good. All right, so I'm going to take some scissors. We can cut off any excess so it's not flying around. So if we got a bunch of excess stuff here, we just kind of cut it off. I don't want to cut all of it off just in case we have to retie. But we got that off of there. Okay, so now that's on there. And you can see it's kind of swinging on the bottom here. So this is going to be the top of our swing arm. So this is where we're going to take our little basket. We're going to put our little basket right on the edge here. So we don't really want it to go too far over. So we want it to be kind of like right in the center there. So I'm going to go ahead and place some right here. I'm going to try to put it right in the middle there. I got a lot of glue on there to make sure it sticks. Again, you want to be careful, and we want to put that right onto there so it stays. So there it is. We're going to let that. All right, so there is our swing arm. Now, usually a trebuchet is not going to have a bucket on it. Like typically the mangonel, like the tension one that we've created before, that one would have the bucket. Typically there's going to be typically there would be some string or there'd be some rope, and on that would be a sling that would cause that. And if we decide to do something more with this, we can do that. But for now, for the ease, we are going to use the bucket there, or the basket. All right. All right, now that we have all of our pieces, pretty much, we have our throwing arm, we have our 2 sides, we want to put it all together. So let's go ahead. For this, we're going to need 3 popsicle sticks, our trusty glue gun, we're going to need a ruler, we're going to need something to write with. So first of all, we want to set this up in a way that it's going to, in between it, you're going to have the toothpick. And so the toothpick's going to go into it just kind of like this. All right, so we're going to put it just like this. And it's roughly about, if we take a look at this, it's roughly going to be about 6 centimeters, if I remember correctly. But we can go ahead and measure it out. So this is going to be roughly about 6 centimeters, So what we're going to do is we're going to measure this out. Now we want our popsicle sticks to kind of be right where the bases are. So what I did was I took this and I kind of made some marks where the bases are. So we got one here, and then one here, right where the bases are. So I want to place my popsicle sticks right in that spot. So we've got 3 popsicle sticks, all sort of right in the same spot. But we need to measure them first because we want there to be the right space. And we need to make sure that we measure first. So let's go ahead and we'll find the middle of the popsicle stick. Remember, they're about 11 centimeters, so in the middle would be 5.5. Now, the popsicle stick itself is roughly about, the toothpick is roughly about 6 centimeters. So if we move this down, half of 6 would be 3, so we put that right at the 3, that middle point, and we go right there. We make a mark at 0, we make a mark right at 6, so then we have our middle, and that's going to go right in between. So we're going to do that 3 separate times. So make our middle point, measuring out 5.5, make sure we get it right at the same spot, put that right at 3, at 0, and at 6. We should get that, make sure it's right on the same spot there. Yep, they look pretty good. I'll do it one more time, get it right at, starting at 0, get it right at 11, 5.5, move that down to 3, and then we'll go 0 and 6. So then we should have them all sort of at the same spot. Looking pretty good to me. All right, so kind of move this off to the side, and we're gonna set up our popsicle sticks right in the right spot here. So we want them to be right where they need to be. They need to be right about there. Okay, so let's take a look. They should be right where they need to be. Move this arm out of the way. Be right about there. Looks pretty good to me. Let's get our, we're gonna go on the inside. We're gonna go right on this line here. So it looks like I need some more glue. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Make sure you have enough glue. And so you might have to kind of push that down a little bit. So we're gonna go right in there, right on that line, and right on that line. We wanna go right, said that a bunch of times, but we're gonna go right on that line. So let's make sure we get it right there, nice and even. It's really important that we have symmetry, that we have balance. We wanna make sure it goes right where it needs to be. So that's gonna stand up. We're gonna do the same thing with the other one, all right? So do the same thing here, we get that right there, right here, and right there with our glue. Be careful not to burn yourself. I did that a couple of times already. We want to make sure that we don't do that. So let's go ahead and get that done over here. All right, looking pretty good. All right, so they're looking pretty darn good. Let's get that up and going. All right, let that glue kind of sit. You can put some extra glue in there if you need to. Maybe just kind of get it, make sure it stays. We want them to stay. That's important. All right, so now we have that up. Looks like it's staying, looking pretty good. I might have to put a little bit more right in this little area right here. That's okay. We want that to be stable. All right, so the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your toothpick, you're gonna put it into the arm here. And so now we're just going to kind of fix it into this spot here and fix it into the other spot, right into this area. Let's get it nice and, looks like we've got a little bit of issues there, but that's okay. We can just kind of move it around. Yours probably, you got a little issue, but that's okay. I'm gonna put it right onto there. All right, so once we have it on there, we can put some more glue right on here to really kind of affix it, get it to stay there. All right, looking pretty good so far. And there we have, I'll kind of set this off to the side, get a little extra stringy stuff off of there. And so now, when we take a look at this, and kind of pull it up, get it detached from the paper. Looks like some of it kind of stuck to the paper a little bit, but that's okay. We just kind of move it off of there. Not a big deal. All right off of that paper. Better be stuck on the paper than stuck to the table, so that's why we use this paper. All right, so now that we have that, gotta be careful. Got some glue right there just stuck to me. All right, so, well, fortunately it cooled down a little bit, so not too bad, but we want to be careful that we don't get that on you. All right, so now that we have that, we can take a look and test it out. We should be able to drop it down here, and all right, looks like it's working. So we have our trebuchet, and we can go ahead and test it out. It's all working there. So once you're done, make sure that you put your name on it somewhere. You can put your name on your paper if you didn't get a chance to finish that, and we can store it. But you also want to make sure that you unplug your hot glue gun. All right, so looking pretty good here. We're going to go ahead and end it. Make sure you write down all of the steps. Should be pretty good. All right.